The Miami Dolphins, as they're actually called, have informed Tua Tagovailoa that he is being released. Now, they are officially saying goodbye to their starting quarterback.
The NFL woke up to a headline that few people expected. The Miami Dolphins had officially moved on from Tua Tagovailoa. For a quarterback who was once viewed as the future of the franchise, the decision felt sudden, dramatic, and controversial. For years, the Dolphins had publicly committed to Tua as their long-term leader under center. The organization built an offense around his quick release, accuracy, and ability to process defenses quickly. When the system worked, it worked beautifully. Miami's offense became one of the most explosive units in football. But the NFL is a ruthless business. When results begin to slip and long-term concerns start to pile up, patience disappears quickly.
Greeny, you asked about quarterbacks in the first segment. We have quarterback movement now. The Miami Dolphins, to the surprise of nobody, officially have moved on from Tua Tagovailoa. They have released him. It's a $99 million dead cap hit, a record.
Reports began circulating across league insiders and analysts that Miami had reached a difficult conclusion. The franchise needed a different direction at quarterback. Whether it was injuries, durability concerns, or simply the belief that the team had reached its ceiling with Tua, the Dolphins made a bold decision that immediately sparked debate across the league.
What we know now is that Tua is going to be available for any team at an incredibly low price. Add another big-time name to this quarterback carousel as we head into free agency.
Fans reacted instantly. Some were stunned. Others believed the move had been inevitable for months. And across television panels and sports podcasts, analysts began asking the same question. Did Miami just give up on its franchise quarterback too early? Because this decision was not just about one player leaving a team. It was about the end of an era that many believed still had unfinished business. And the biggest question now is simple. Did the Dolphins make a bold move that will reshape their future? Or did they just walk away from the best quarterback they've had in decades?
But Tua now will become a free agent. He joins that pool of quarterbacks we're talking about. He is eligible to sign anywhere else now as well. And so I would imagine that Tua also will find a home. But
the NFL woke up to a headline that few people expected. The Miami Dolphins had officially moved on from Tua Tagovailoa. For a quarterback who was once viewed as the future of the franchise, the decision felt sudden, dramatic, and controversial. For years, the Dolphins had publicly committed to Tua as their long-term leader under center. The organization built an offense around his quick release, accuracy, and ability to process defenses quickly. When the system worked, it worked beautifully. Miami's offense became one of the most explosive units in football. But the NFL is a ruthless business. When results begin to slip and long-term concerns start to pile up, patience disappears quickly. Reports began circulating across league insiders and analysts that Miami had reached a difficult conclusion. The franchise needed a different direction at quarterback. Whether it was injuries, durability concerns, or simply the belief that the team had reached its ceiling with Tua, the Dolphins made a bold decision that immediately sparked debate across the league. Fans reacted instantly. Some were stunned. Others believed the move had been inevitable for months. And across television panels and sports podcasts, analysts began asking the same question. Did Miami just give up on its franchise quarterback too early? Because this decision was not just about one player leaving a team. It was about the end of an era that many believed still had unfinished business. And the biggest question now is simple. Did the Dolphins make a bold move that will reshape their future? Or did they just walk away from the best quarterback they've had in decades?
We pivot now to an item of news that has just landed. The Dolphins have released a statement. I recently informed Tua Tagovailoa and his representation that we are going to move in a new direction at the quarterback position and will be releasing him after the start of the new league year.
The turning point in Tua Tagovailoa's career was not a bad season. It was not a losing streak. It wasn't even a playoff failure. It was injuries. Over the past several seasons, Tua became one of the most talked about players in the NFL for a reason no quarterback ever wants to be known for: concussions. Each time he was hit, the entire football world held its breath. Medical experts, analysts, and former players began debating the long-term impact of repeated head injuries. Conversations about player safety and the NFL's concussion protocols intensified, and the situation placed the Miami Dolphins in an incredibly difficult position. Because on one hand, Tua was still an extremely talented quarterback capable of running their offense at a high level. But on the other hand, durability became a serious concern. Availability is one of the most important traits for any quarterback, and every missed game raised new questions about whether the franchise could truly rely on him long-term.
Will be out there. Anybody can hire him. Anybody can hire him for cheap. If you are running the team, do you hire him?
You know, I would definitely hire Tua just because of the fact of he has been consistent his whole career. Yes, he's had the concussion issues before in his past. We know that. But the thing about Tua is he's a proven leader. He's a proven winner. Like, that's what people have to realize when you get a Tua Tagovailoa.
The conversation slowly shifted. It was no longer about whether Tua was talented enough. It was about whether he could stay on the field. And in the NFL, that distinction can change everything. Now that the Dolphins have moved on, another debate has taken over the NFL conversation. Did the Miami Dolphins fail Tua Tagovailoa? Because while critics point to injuries and inconsistency, supporters of Tua believe the situation is far more complicated. Quarterbacks rarely succeed alone. They depend on offensive lines, coaching systems, roster decisions, and long-term stability. When those pieces constantly change, even talented quarterbacks can struggle to reach their full potential. Throughout Tua's time in Miami, the organization went through coaching changes, offensive system adjustments, and constant roster reshuffling. Some seasons looked promising. Others felt like the team was still trying to figure out its identity. For supporters of Tua, that instability matters. They argue that Miami never fully built the kind of long-term structure that allows quarterbacks to grow into elite players. Instead, the team often seemed to be reacting to short-term results, rather than committing to a clear long-term vision. Critics see it differently.
No one is signing Tua to start. Nobody is going to sign Tua Tagovailoa to be their 2026 starting quarterback. J-Mac's right. Someone is going to sign Tua to sit there and say, hey, we might need a starter for a month. Or we're a Super Bowl contending football team and we need a guy that just in case our quarterback goes down for week 13 and week 14 with an ankle, I need somebody to come in and give us a chance. That's where Tua's going to go.
They argue that the Dolphins gave Tua multiple chances to prove he could be the unquestioned leader of the franchise, and that ultimately the results simply did not justify continuing down the same path. Now that Miami has moved on, the debate may never truly end. Because sometimes in the NFL, the hardest question is not who failed, it is who walked away too soon.
For your starting quarterback week 1, do you want Tua Tagovailoa or Kyler Murray? Go.
I want Kyler Murray, and for me, it comes straight down to the injuries. It comes straight down to the concussions. Look, at the end of the day, if I was ever on the field and I got a concussion so bad, actually multiple concussions so bad that my fingers were pointing in different directions and things of that nature, I would hope I had somebody close to me to tell me, like, look.
The moment the Miami Dolphins officially moved on from Tua Tagovailoa, the reaction across the NFL world was immediate and intense. Analysts, former players, and insiders quickly began debating whether Miami had made a bold decision or a major mistake. On television panels and sports talk shows, opinions were sharply divided. Some analysts argued that the Dolphins had no choice. In their view, durability concerns had simply become too significant to ignore. A franchise quarterback must be available every week, and repeated injuries made that difficult. Others pushed back strongly against that argument.
Stand by. We'll continue to come to you immediately. Let me get the rest of my crew in here, starting with my quarterback, Dan Orlovsky, Tua Tagovailoa. He had some very good moments in Miami, but obviously the sum total of it leaves us where we are today. I'm not exactly sure how to frame this question. Have we seen the last of Tua as a starter in the NFL? I mean, backups wind up playing because people get hurt. But as far as being the established, he's the number one guy on an NFL team,
Several former players pointed out that Tua had proven he could run a high-powered offense when healthy. His quick decision-making and accuracy allowed Miami's system to thrive during its best stretches. To them, moving on from a quarterback with that level of ability felt premature. Inside the locker room, reactions were more measured. Teammates who had worked closely with Tua often praised his leadership and professionalism. Many described him as a calm presence who worked relentlessly and earned the respect of those around him. But the NFL moves fast. Teams are constantly looking ahead rather than backward. And now, the conversation has shifted from what Tua accomplished in Miami to a much bigger question. Where does he go next? For Tua Tagovailoa, the next chapter of his career may be the most important one yet. Being released by the Miami Dolphins does not necessarily mean his career is over. In fact, many quarterbacks have found new life after leaving their original teams. Sometimes a change of system, coaching staff, or environment can completely reshape a player's trajectory. But Tua's situation is complicated. Any team considering signing him will have to evaluate two separate questions. First, can he still perform at a high level when healthy? And second, can he stay healthy long enough to lead a team through an entire season? Those concerns will heavily influence how franchises view him in free agency. Some teams may see him as a potential starter if he lands in the right system. Others may view him as a backup quarterback who can provide depth and experience behind a younger player. Still, talent always creates opportunity in the NFL.
It was too hard to do.
Yeah.
So now Tua's getting $54 million this year, Chris. They're going to have to deal with $99.2 million over the next 2 years in dead cap money total. They'll split it up. I think it's like 55 and 48, something like that. But he's making $54 million fully guaranteed this year. He can go anywhere he wants for $1.3 million, and the Dolphins are going to pay the rest.
Yeah.
If a team believes that Tua's accuracy, football intelligence, and quick decision-making can elevate their offense, there will absolutely be interest. The league is constantly searching for competent quarterbacks, and if Tua gets another chance, he will be playing with something powerful driving him forward, a chance to prove that his story is not finished. Whenever a franchise quarterback leaves the team, the conversation quickly shifts from the present to something much bigger, legacy. And for Tua Tagovailoa, that debate is already taking over the NFL world, because for several seasons, Tua represented hope for the Miami Dolphins. He was supposed to be the quarterback who finally stabilized the most important position in Miami and pushed the franchise back into consistent playoff contention. At times, it genuinely looked like that future was possible. When the offense was clicking, Tua's quick decision-making and accuracy made Miami one of the most dangerous attacks in the league. But the NFL is a results-driven league, and narratives change fast. Now, critics argue that Tua never fully became the elite franchise quarterback the Dolphins expected when they drafted him. They point to injuries, missed games, and moments where the offense stalled in big situations.
So that's where does he go? I don't think anyone's going to bring him in to be a starter at this point. Because like you said, you're smitten by the good film, but the good film's a few years ago now. They're going to look at last year and the year before and go, wait, okay, all right. He can't throw the ball here. If there's a little wind, he can't do that. He's a little jumpy in the pocket. So Tua's going to have to go backup quarterback route and then go from there.
Supporters see a completely different story. They see a talented quarterback who is constantly adapting to changing systems, coaching adjustments, and the physical toll of the game. In their eyes, Tua showed enough ability to believe he could still thrive in the right situation. That is what makes this moment so fascinating, because Tua's legacy is not sealed yet. If he lands with another team and succeeds, the entire narrative could flip overnight. Suddenly, the question will not be whether Tua failed in Miami, it will be whether Miami gave up on him too soon. And that possibility is exactly why this story is far from finished.